hopefully you are in the right session. This session around Fabric monitoring, made simple. I will go through some different built-in tools and how you can make custom tools in Fabric. So first off, thank you for all the sponsors. They are here in the rooms, both the platinum and gold sponsors. Please go and visit them. They're making this event possible. And then, who am I? I am just Blindbæk. I'm from Denmark, where I'm a principal architect at a company called Today. We are doing consultancies, but actually I'm not doing consultancies. I'm an internal resource, our sort of Fabric experts, where I serve our data and AI consultants be better in Fabric, and so that we are also doing it the same way in every project. And I'm also part of pre-sales and then also doing a lot of training in Fabric. I've been working with Fabric only for the last 2 years in this. And then I'm, in my spare time, I will say, I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP, which means that I go around, do sessions like this, and basically do a lot of free marketing for Microsoft around Fabric. Yeah. And then also, I'm organizing events. So you are all hereby invited to Denmark. You have to pay your own flight and hotel, but I'm also doing data conferences in Denmark, not at this scale. We have smaller. We have Power BI Next Step and Data Platform Next Step, which is conferences, for the back-end audience and for the front-end audience, but it's focusing on you taking the next step. So it's advanced topics that we have on this, and our data platform is very much similar to this event, where we are covering both Databricks, Fabric, and other tools in here. And that is actually already in 3 weeks in Billund, in Legoland. So that's also a reason to come to Denmark to visit Legoland. And then I'm also organizing the Microsoft BI community and the Power BI user group in Denmark. And if you want to connect with me, please just do that on LinkedIn here. And also, you can scan this QR code where you have the slides for this session in here. I also posted the link in the FUAM app, so you can find it in there. But so you have them both now and afterwards. That was enough about me. We are not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about monitoring. So first off, I will cover why do we even need to monitor Fabric, and then we will go step by step through both. First off, the out-of-the-box solutions. Then we will have a look at the different community tools that's out there, and then also what we can build ourselves. So that will be the agenda for this session. So a lot of demos actually, and not that much slides. I want to show you a lot of these things, and it's not easy, and that's also why I made this decision. I said made it simple in the title, but it's actually not that simple because we have many different tools. So you have to find your way around and know what are the actually different tools we have to monitor the Fabric solutions. So first off, here's an overview of what and why we will probably monitor Fabric. We wanted to be more efficient. We wanted to monitor the system health and ensure that we have a great uptime on Fabric. We also wanted to monitor how is the adoption of Fabric, who is actually using it, who is not using Fabric, so that we follow that, and also the performance of report queries, compute uses, and also the pipelines. And then we might also want to look into security and compliance to see if there's something audit that we need to, if the permissions and roles is set correctly, and then also security events, and then also the data quality. We could also monitor that one, and then also the cost. And the cost is not in dollars, but more in capacity unit seconds in Fabric. So that will sum up to some cost, and that's of course also something we want to use our capacity the best way possible, so we can use the smallest capacity in Fabric. So this is just different topics that we wanted to cover, and we have then many different tools to actually dive into and look at these things, and built-in tools as of now. It's always evolving in Fabric. We have 4 different ways of built-in monitoring solutions. We have the monitoring hub, we have an admin monitoring workspace, and then we have Workspace Monitoring, and then we have the capacity metrics apps, which is 4 different solutions that I will now take you through and do some demos on, and then you can get a glimpse of what and where you can find these different information. So first off, the monitoring hub. This is a built-in overview of all the pipelines, semantic models, notebooks, all jobs basically that is running, and it is showing what you have permission to see. So it's showing all jobs that is running as part of the workspaces that you have. This is not an admin overview. If you are an admin and want to have the overview, you have to get permissions to all the workspaces to actually see all that is in here. So this is your personal view of all what is happening of notebook runs, pipeline runs, and here you can see if they succeeded, if they failed, and for how long they have been running, and also some other statistics in here. And you have a lot of functionality to filter around here to actually go deep and figure out what is actually happening in here. So let's start with taking a look at that one. So you will see it, sorry, I have it. Out here, it is this button, and it is pinned, but I open so many items that it's not in the pinned list, but you can pin it and unpin it, but it's a central part of Fabric that everyone have access to. So going in there, I see now the list of all what I have, and it's automatically sorted in the order. So what has happened last is what is in the top of this list. But I could go in and make filters on a specific location, and that is quite funny. It's called location, but it's actually workspace. But in here, it's a location. So I could filter a specific location here and find the workspaces that I have access to, and only see actually what's happening in here. So as you can see, something has actually failed, and from here you can then dive deeper. So depending on what the item is, if it's a notebook, I can go in and then see the execution of the notebook, where I can get even more monitoring functionality. But this is not the monitoring hub functionality. This is the notebooks functionality, where I can go really deep in and finding out also. What resources have been doing, some logs. You can actually also see here a history of this specific notebook, how has this run over time. So we have a lot of functionality built in this notebook, and you can actually even dive deeper in here. So going back to the monitoring hub. And with pipelines, we have sort of the same functionality, where I can go in and look at how the pipeline runs. So if I have these steps, then I can see here for this specific pipeline run, what step had actually failed in here, to get some knowledge around why it actually happened. And then I also figure out in here, as you can see here, it actually failed. And in here, I then can get the message. All these messages is not that clear, so you need to understand and know what you're actually looking into, but this says something around no such file or directory found, so this is something that I need to look into and figure out. But I could also go in and actually click on this one, and this was actually a notebook, and then I can find the notebook and then find what actually happened with this notebook in here. And this is notebooks and pipelines. I could also go in and filter here instead of a specific location. I could go in and then filter for a specific item type and say now I wanted to see all semantic models, and then I get the list of the refreshes of these semantic models, and then can see why and how long they have been running and who is actually submitting them. And also I have the option here to put in some extra columns here. So there are some of the columns that are specific for specific items that you might want to see. As you can see, I also have an average duration I could put in there to see the history of that compared to this, and so on. So there's a lot of functionality directly built into this monitor solution. And here you can see capacity is one thing that if I'm optimizing on, and also here we have upstream and downstream. So if one is calling another one, I can see who is called this specific one, and so on. So I actually really like this overview to see what has happened and what is this have done here. So this was a quick overview of the monitoring hub, where we get a lot of details. It is very, very reactive. So you need to go in every morning or every hour to see if something failed. There's no alerting functionality in here, unfortunately. I have been giving this feedback to Microsoft multiple times. I know many other people have also, because that is really the missing part of this, that we can set up some alerting saying, okay, if there's an error on a specific location, specific items, then send me an email, Teams messages, or something like that. We have sort of the same functionality in Azure Data Factory, where we actually have this alerting feature, but we don't have it inside our Fabric. So that we need to create a custom solution to get that alerting, and I will come back to that later on, what options we have there. Also, we don't have any dashboards or reports to see the history. It could be really nice that we could actually build something on top of it. If Microsoft would just give us an API for this, then I could extract myself and then create a solution. But we don't have, or at least we don't have an official API. I know people that have actually found the unofficial API that's behind this, and then you can call it and get the data out. But then you're on your own if Microsoft changes that API. So yeah, Monitoring Hub. Next one, Admin Monitoring Workspace, where we can get, and this is made for the admins. So you need to be a tenant admin in your organization to be able to see this. And then Microsoft is giving us some pre-built reports where we can see a lot of things. And as of now, we have 3 different reports in here: content sharing, feature usage adoption, and Purview Hub. And maybe we will get more over time. The content sharing was just released a couple of months ago, I believe, a part of PepCon in Las Vegas. So Microsoft is constantly giving us more of this. And here we have a lot of tenant settings, tenant admin settings, so we can look at what is happening across the whole tenant as an admin in here. And for instance, we have this feature users and adoption. So this is really nice to go in and see who is actually using what, who is creating options, who is actually deleting things in the tenant. And we have the history. Unfortunately, we only have the history for the last 30 days or 28 days. So that is not perfect, but it's a starting point. So we can audit and see the whole inventory. So let me show you that one. And I am an admin on this tenant, and if you are an admin going under the workspace, you will then see up here in this section up here where you have your My Workspace, you will then get another workspace that you can go in, which is the admin monitoring workspace. And one thing, if you're not an admin, then you can find an admin in your organization. Hopefully you have somebody that is tenant admin in your organization, and then they cannot share the whole, or they can actually go in here. I am the admin. I could go in here and then add more people inside this workspace. So I could add colleagues that is not tenant admin to get access to this. So this is if you're many organizations only have one tenant admin, and that tenant admin many is not carrying maybe that. Okay, yeah. So yeah, find that person and get your access to this workspace, or convince them to just share a specific report with you. Then if you get access to this workspace, it won't show up in your list here, and it won't show up in the list of workspaces, but you can then find and browse you through the workspace. So that's not optimal if you're not an admin to actually find the content afterwards. But then you can bookmark it, for instance, and then have it for you afterwards. So this feature and adoption report, and you can see here, it's not just reports, we also have semantic models, and that's also open up to that we can actually make our own reporting on top of this, because we have a really nice, many times Microsoft made some solution for us to create really beautiful reports, but the semantic models is very messy. But in this case, actually, there have been some clever people in the team, and they actually created a pretty nice semantic model that is easy to create your own Power BI reports on top of it if you want to make something that is not part of these built-in reports. And in this tenant, you can see that I have this overview of the activities, and I have a lot of filter functionality out here. I can filter on a specific workspace, a specific capacity, user types, a specific user if I want to do that. And then I can see what operations actually happened in here. And the one that is on top is, exporting activity, but then read artifact. So people coming in and viewing a report, that will be there. And then you can also see which workspaces have the most activities and which are the most active users. In here, this is a test tenant from Microsoft, so it's not real data in here. But you have a really good overview of how many active users you have over this period in time. And also, capacities and workspaces. And you can actually dive deeper into this. So you have a lot of drill-through functionality. And you can also see here, I can navigate to an inventory page and an analysis page. So I could, for instance, analyze this and see, what are actually this read artifact? And then I can go and analyze, or I can say, show the activity details, and then go even further and get a list of what specific activities was run here. Going back to the overview page. And I can also just navigate to the analysis page and then go and go and look at here. And you have this tree map where I can then dive deeper and deeper and find my way around the data and what I'm looking for. So in here, it is a really great way to see the uses and adoption of all your artifacts, not just reports, but also semantic models and all the other Fabric stuff we have in here. And then the other report we have in this admin one workspace, this is the new one, the content sharing, which will show you what have been shared with what users. So this is very nice for audit purposes. So you want to know who has access to what content on your whole tenant, and that you can find in here, and also how many items are there, and then what are the different types of sharing. You can share just directly a report, you can share with the workspace, you can share with the app, you can also share with the link and get the full overview of what are the different functionalities in here. So I have just focused on one specific capacity in here and can see this overview of this content sharing. And also, if you're using the certified and promoted, you can see what are mostly shared, if it is actually something that is certified and promoted, and what are the item types. Is in this tenant is mostly notebooks that we have in the tenant, and then I can dive deeper into this, and then actually also in this one drill through and get the analysis, all the details of this, and then figure out who has access to these different objects. And go pretty deep down in finding the information around who has access to what in here. And also have a workspace overview in here. And then the last report we have as part of the admin monitoring workspace, and that is kind of confusing for me, because now I'll go into this, then the layout will be completely different, because this is not built from the same team, this is just embedded in here. This is the Purview hub that you also have access to outside of this admin monitoring workspace. So you can see how much is sensitivity labels, endorsed domains, and so on. But that you will also find up in here. I believe you have it also here. The Purview hub is also here, down here. So it's just that report that you have here that is embedded into the admin monitoring workspace. And this is actually currently in preview, so Microsoft is still building on top of it.
We've got the question here. Could you send a link for this test workspace content? Is it available in some kind of documentation on MS Pages?
So I actually put in all the links for the different documentations in these slides. So yeah, go into VOA, find the link to the slides, and then find the links here, or just copy them here. So yeah, hopefully that answered the questions. But yeah, for all of that, you need an admin to give you access to it. And as of now, you will get access if somebody shares this with you. Then you get access to all or nothing. There's no row-level security built into these semantic models that is here. So that should you also be aware that you might get access to see something that maybe be more or less sensitive data that could be in these reports, depending on how your organization is organized. So yeah. Then the next one is a built-in feature called Workspace Monitoring. And as it says, it is monitoring on a workspace level. And this is very, very low level. This is where if we wanted to go in and find the performance bottlenecks of anything in here, to debug and find out if there is something that is not running optimal. This is something that you enable on a workspace level. And then it will collect a lot of information for you, and it will use the event house KQL database underneath this. So when you enable it on the workspace level, you need to be an admin on the workspace. Then it will create an event house, and for that you will pay. The two other solutions I showed you before, they are basically free to use, but this will actually consume and could consume a lot of capacity, especially if you have a small capacity. So you should be aware of enabling that. As part of the private preview that's been before, then it is now public. It was free, but now it actually costs capacity. And it will collect diagnostics and then send it to this warehouse or event house that we have, this KQL database. And what we can, as of now, collect, that is from Power BI, semantic model queries and refreshes. So we can go down and get information on every DAX query or MDX query that is sent to the semantic model that's in this workspace, because you enable it on a workspace level. You will actually find out what is the performance of this, and that way you can go in and find what are the reports, what are actually the visuals in the reports that is slow for the users, so that you can react and find out what are the slow reports, what are what are used in your semantic models from reports, and it will also show you not just from report, also if people are using analyzing Excel, you will get that information. So you'll get all the query statistics, and that is actually a lot of data, especially if you have some semantic models that is queried a lot, you will get a lot of data, could get. Then you also get the refreshes, so if you want to optimize and find out for some specific semantic models, how is the refresh performing? So maybe you will say, okay, this takes 30 minutes. I don't know what is actually taking this 30 minutes. This will actually show you what are the tables, what are the partitions, what are the data sources in your semantic model that is actually giving you maybe some trouble. And then you can go around with that information and optimize your semantic models, both in terms of the DAX for the queries, but also for optimizing the refreshes. And then we have, it's kind of the event house is also, so if you have any event houses, you will also get diagnostic logs on that, both for the queries and the metrics, and then also if you're using GraphQL or the mirrored database. So this is the 4 different item types that is currently supported, that we will collect all these logs and metrics from. And then planned is also the Spark notebooks, the pipeline, the SQL endpoints, and also at some point in time, capacity data. So we can all get that in, and then we can start correlate the different things with each other and create our own reports on top of that. But we could also, and I have that installed here. Let us have a look at that. So I have this workspace where I have a lot of different items in, and up on the workspace settings, we have monitoring. So this is on. So you have to go around workspace by workspace to enable that, and then it will create a new KQL database event house inside that workspace. I don't think it's the optimal way. It could be very, very nice that we could enable it workspace by workspace, but then send it to a central place. But that is currently not. I believe it is on the roadmap for Microsoft to make it that way, so that we can centralize it in another workspace and not have it in a workspace where we actually have the content. But the usage is that you can, of course, leave it on all the time, but it could be a lot of logs that you will get. But you can also just enable it and then have for a couple of days, so you debug and find out where you can optimize some performance in this different workload that is using this monitoring database. This is actually built on top of a feature that we had before, which is in this Asia connections. So we still have that feature, but we have also this feature to enable Asia log analytics, and that feature will actually put the logs separately. But that is only for semantic models, where the new one is both semantic models and all workloads. So I believe at some point Microsoft will deprecate the solution and not have that one anymore, and then we have the monitoring solution in here. And we're not just giving this KQL database, as you can see down here. It is, I believe it is this monitoring event house that I have here, which will then get all the events down here. And then you can go out and then install some templates. Coming out on no, yeah. Then you can install some templates. They are on GitHub, so that you can get some report on top of this. If you just enable it, you will only get this event house. But then you can go ahead and download these reports that will give you both a semantic model and also a report, so that you are not all on your own, but actually have some way to go down and then go really deep in what is actually happening. What are these users doing on my semantic models? In this case, this is focusing on semantic model SM and then event houses. So it's these two workloads that is supported by the template reports and template semantic models. But with this, we can go really deep in finding out which specific reports, visuals, users is actually consuming a lot of the capacity seconds from the semantic models, and if they are coming from external tools or are coming from internal reports, we can also get that information. Yeah, there's a microphone just.
So when you are saying that it's good to turn on this workspace monitoring just for a few days to be able to see what's happening, how is the pricing look? Does it only, do you pay for the time period, or it also depends on how many activities is happening, or both? So you are paying by capacity, and how it is priced?
Yeah. It will. Event House has a specific price, so you will pay for how Event House is using it. So you will pay when you're streaming in to the Event House.
Okay, so
take
it depends
capacity,
on the activities,
and then afterwards you will also pay for just the storage that is part of that Event House.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it could, in my testing, when I tested it early on, it can take maybe 10% of your capacity to have that turned on. But it really depends on how much activity you will. So my best advice will be try turn it on for one day, and then see on your capacity metric app how much it actually. But if you are on a very small capacity, F2, F4, maybe it's not the best solution. You maybe need to be on a bigger one. So just be careful if you are on one of the small capacity, and then turn this on. A question more here?
When you mentioned that you turn it on for each workspace and then it only stores it in the event house for that workspace, does it create an event stream as well in the workspace?
No, it's behind the scenes.
Okay. Yeah.
So there are, of course, a stream that is putting the event down there, but we can't access that stream, unfortunately, because otherwise we could tap in on that and then put it on our place.
The reason I'm asking is because I haven't actually been able to get the workspace monitoring working yet. For some reason, it won't create the event house.
Oh.
Maybe because I'm on a trial capacity. But I was wondering if it gave you the stream, you would be able to redirect. But
unfortunately not.
Okay.
No.
That's a shame.
Yeah. That was a good idea. Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah. And these semantic models, this report we have here, is a classic semantic model which is running in import mode, so it's not live. But then we can actually use, because that was also something we get out of this, that we get this new functionality where we have this real-time dashboard as part of the event house, where we can actually look at it in real time. So there we also have some templates for that, but we could also go in and then use our own, if we can, use KQL to query it and get the data out we like. So yeah, and this will then time range last 2 days. Not much have happened on this capacity last 2 days, but you can extend it and then see much more. And then the summary, as you can see here, the left one is on semantic model, and then we have event house covering both of this on this front overview page. But then there are pages that is going deeper inside the different workloads in here. Yeah. So yeah, I really look forward to that we also get it on the Spark and the pipelines, because if I get it on the Spark and the pipelines, I usually, as a background data engineer, that is the usage you can also see that I have a lot of in the job monitoring. If I got this in here, then I can make my own custom alerting inside here, because then I have the pipeline runs, the notebook runs, and then I can set up alerting my own reports, and then I can create my own dashboards like the monitoring hub. So then I can actually not use the monitoring hub, but actually have all the functionality here. So I really look forward to that day when we have it all in here. But again, then it will be on a workspace level where the monitoring hub is on a cross workspaces. So there will be room for both of them. But yeah, and also of course the capacity data will be really great when and Microsoft has told us we will get them here. There's no timeline on that, but you can attend Benny's session later today. He's looking away. He has a session today later where he will actually go around and talk about the capacity metrics apps. So I will not cover that in details here, but the capacity metrics apps is the place where we can see the capacity units used on the different capacities, and this is really good for cost control, and this one combined with some of the other options, it could be really great, because sometimes when you use this, because here you can see the full overview of what are the items that are using, what are the workspaces, what are the users that is actually using the capacity in here. It will also show up the event house if you enable workspace monitoring, and you see how much capacity that is using. But in here you will probably sometimes see some spikes in here, and that could be really great if you could right-click on a spike here and then be transferred over to the workspace monitoring, so I could get the detail and find out what actually caused this spike. Because now I could just see, oh, there's a user created some queries on a semantic model, but I didn't know what they did. But what you can do now is then find out what is the user, what is the time, and then if you enable workspace monitoring, you can go over there and then figure out what actually happened here. Was it because there was a crazy person doing something in analyzing Excel, or doing some Power Automate where they extracted all your data from your semantic model, or what actually caused this? That overview you won't get in here, unfortunately. Let us just have a quick look at this capacity metrics app. And this is, as the name says, is an app. So actually to get that, I need to either get into Workspace or actually switch around to the Power BI, because for some reason I cannot see apps here, because apps is a Power BI feature. So I need to go ahead and then shift here to Power BI, because then I can down here see the apps that I have here. So I only have this one app in here, maybe. But if you want to install it yourself, you have to install it. You can go and find it in here, and then get it. It's one of those from Microsoft. So it's not pre-installed. There's also been talked about this capacity metric app coming inside the admin monitoring workspace. so that it's easier to find, so you have it all in one place. I love that idea. So I can go in and then have a look at this report, and let us choose a specific capacity. I believe that one. I have some. This is again is a test tenant for Microsoft, so I have access to a couple of different capacities. And as you can see here, it's pretty slow, and it's slow because it's real time. So there is a KQL event house database behind this. We cannot access it, unfortunately, because then we could make some amazing things. But we have access to this report, and also the semantic model that is actually behind this report that is running in direct query mode against the data that is near real time. I think you should be aware that maybe it's a 5-10 minutes, depending on the workload, before it shows up in here. But what you can see here is that over the last 12 days, and that's also limitations, I only have 12 days of data in here. I can figure out on a daily basis what actually happened, and I can filter on that, and then I get the items and workspaces that actually use the most capacity unit seconds on this one, and then figure out Then I only see that I consume so much data, and I need to go to other tools to actually see. And for instance, if this is a pipeline, I could go in the work monitoring hub, finding that one, and then figure out why was it using so much capacity, why was it running so long, and so on. I also have for the specific ones, I can go and then zoom in on the operations. When it's a pipeline, I have some capacity unit seconds for data movement and activity runs. If it is a semantic model, I have one of those, maybe somewhere. I have other things that I can see. Warehouse I also have. And on this capacity, normally what I use this for is actually using this one. But as you can see here, on this specific capacity, we are not using much of the capacity because it's a P1 and there's not much activity. But what you will see here is a blue field and then some red spikes normally. And that's the background and interactive modes. And then focusing on figuring out, okay, these red lines, probably a user did something on your capacity. You need to figure out who is the user. You can right click on, find out who is the user, and then your best option is, if you don't have workspace monitoring put on that specific workspace, then you need to call or write to them on Teams and say, what the hell did you do at that point in time? Can't I come help you to optimize your daily work to do it better, so you're not consuming so much of our capacity that we actually share many users. So, but Benny has a full hour on, Benny Diagra, who is here, has a full hour on the Capacity Metrics app later today. So please join his session to get more in-depth information. And he's also part of the Ask the Expert session later on. So if you have some questions around how it can be better, because it definitely can be better, then you can also ask him. So yeah, this was 4 of the different built-in tools that I use as an admin and daily user of Fabric to figure out what has actually happened, both in my workspaces and also on the tenant and on the capacity. So the different levels where we'll actually go a look at these. And that is just how it is today, that we have these 4 different tools, and 3 of them, or 2 of them is built in, and 2 of them we need to install the Capacity Metrics apps and the Workspace Monitoring. Then we can look at what is not coming from Microsoft, and there are community tools, and I will actually just spend time to look at one of them. And this is a community tool called Fabric Unified Admin Monitoring, or FUAM in short. And it's a tool built by the community, supported by Microsoft, that you can install on your tenant. So it's not something that you can find in the admin monitoring workspace. There's a QR code here, which will take you to the GitHub of this. And with this, you will actually get combined of many of these experiences that we already have. So where the admin, the same data that you have in the admin monitoring workspace, you will get here. So all the adoption usage data, who has access to content, but not only limited for 28 days. Here you can get full history. At first, when you start installing it, you will only get for the last 30 days, because that's the limitation of the API that both solutions uses. But then over time, you can build up. So absolutely, when you start up a new project in Fabric, start installing that immediately, so you will capture all this information in here. And what we have is that we have the tenant settings, activities, workspaces, capacities, some tenant metadata, refreshes from different semantic models, and also how the Git connections is used. And it's really, really simple. You need to have some skills. It's not that it's totally simple, but in here there's a getting started guideline. You will basically download one notebook, and that notebook will run, and that will then download all the other options, or all the other pipelines and notebooks, what you need to use, and also all the reporting that is part of this. So you get a full suite of different monitoring things, and it's been working on for a couple of months, I believe, and then 1 month, 2 months ago, it was turned out, and now it's a part of the Fabric toolbox. And there's a big disclaimer when you go in there. It's part of Fabric Toolbox, which is a Microsoft repo, but it's not supported. You cannot get any support request. You can get that on the built-in tools, but this could break. So just be aware of that. There's also a guideline that you can update it, because there's updates of this. But this is basically these 8 steps that you will go through. Downloading the notebook, which will prepare your environment. You will import and run notebooks. Then you need to create some credentials in there. There's also guidelines on that, because you need to be able to connect to APIs, and for that you will need something called an app registration. So probably need to talk with some admins to get that. You put them into 2 connections. And also it can actually also get data out of the capacity metric apps if you want that. So you can get that also in here and have more than these 12 days of history you have on the capacity metric app. And then you'll basically just run one orchestration pipeline that will then extract all the data, and then you can schedule that for doing that every day, and it will get this data out of these different APIs and combine that, and then you can open the report. So yeah, let me show you. I have installed that. So I've created a workspace, and in this workspace I have organized the different things in the workspace that you get when you install FUAM in data, notebooks, pipelines. So what you will get some reports. That's of course nice to see actually all that is happening, but if you want to look behind the scenes, we'll get some pipelines to get out all the inventory information, Git, and so on. You'll get a pipeline for each of those topics that we have. And some of these pipelines is then also executing notebooks, which is then also executing some APIs and get that. And then also not just extracting it, but also transform it into a proper form, so we can actually analyze on it. So it will be basically placed in fact and dimensions, so that we can have a semantic model on top of that. And that you have here. So you have a couple of different semantic models, and then you also have a lake house. So you can go ahead and have all the data collected in a lake house, and then a semantic model on top, and then reports on top of that, and those semantic models. So you can also just go in and make your own ad hoc analysis on this data, and not using the reports or semantic models, because all of this is then gathered in this lake house in here, and in these delta tables in here. And let us see, and this was an overview of active items, which is this table we have here. But going in here, then taking a look at this overview report, and one thing that I will mention around FUAM is they could put some more love in the reports. Some of the built-in functionality from Microsoft is from my perspective, better. But you can create your own reports also. You can go in and adjusting these reports. But as you can see, one report, there's a lot of different options in here. And they have this overview. It should be an overview. I don't think I got the overview, but yeah. In here, and then you can go ahead and look at the workspaces and then dive into it. And as you can see, they wanted to have a lot of information on every page. So sometimes you need to zoom to actually see the information in here. But if I zoom in, then you might be able to see. So workspaces by capacity, workspaces by users, and so on and so forth down here, and then a metrics here where I can dive deep into the different capacity and work shows, and then see how many of the different items I have in. They also have a concept around active and inactive items. So if it's not been touched, I believe it's for 28 days, it will be marked as inactive, and then you can use it to see if you should do some cleanup, if you have something that is not being used on your tenant in here. But you have a lot of information. And one thing is also to your tenant settings. So if you're not a tenant admin, it will still collect all these tenant settings, so you can follow how the tenant settings is actually evolving over time, so that you can see what is turned on of features and what is not turned on in the tenant settings. So that is actually something I believe is really nice. If you get access to this and it's not a tenant admin, you can still find out how the tenant settings is configured. And then you can maybe contact that admin to make them changed in here. And you can also see that the history over here around how at some point in time there was one missing setting. Microsoft removed the setting between these 2 days. And Microsoft is not really good at the documenting and communicating if they are changing anything. So actually, the only way is actually to capture it yourself if you wanted to find out this. So I can really encourage you to go around and then install FUAM because this will give you a really great overview of everything that's happened on this, and you get a notebook, pipeline, semantic model, and reports. And it is pretty easy to get started and install, and there are YouTube videos and guidelines. There's a lot of documentation on it, and it will be continuously updated every month with new features and bug fixes and so on. You can also report bugs if you find anything into this Git, and the people have created this is actually pretty active and wanted it to work and be better all the time. So it's nice that we have some people in the community using and creating these solutions that we can then use. Then, how about building our own solution? Now we looked at what is built in, how we can get a full solution with FUAM, but sometimes that is not enough. Sometimes we actually want to make something custom ourselves. And there we also have some different options depending on the tenant level, the job level, or the capacity level. So that we will spend the last part of the session about. So on tenant monitoring, you can build your own solution also, but I am like, why? Because that is basically what FUAM is. Why create your own when there have been clever people doing it? But that could be cases where it's not enough, or maybe you think FUAM is taking too much, you only want some of the data. And many years ago, I created my own solution for doing this on Power BI. There's a GitHub here where I created some pipelines inside Asia Data Factory that will take out many of the same data that is part of FUAM. But I stopped with just extracting the data, and I never came in and actually created some nice report that they created at FUAM. But I know that until FUAM came, this has also helped a lot of people, and here you can find some inspirations, but it will basically take out the activity audit events and also the full metadata catalog and also the tenant settings. And also you can then combine it also with, if you're calling the graph API, so getting a list of users, groups, and licenses, and then you can with this data, you can create your own reports, finding out who has access to what, and so on. So a lot of the things you can find in admin monitoring workspace and in FUAM, this is also a solution for that. And I'm now in the process of creating Fabric pipelines because, why not just put it directly into Fabric like FUAM did and not use Azure Data Factory, what was my case when I built that. But ingesting the data, storing it in a lakehouse, and then doing some preparing and serving on it on these different APIs you can do yourself. And there's also some prereqs to get that up and running. You also need some service principal like you do with FUAM. So the prereqs is the same because it's the same APIs that we are calling. And as you can see on the date down there, actually it's 4 years ago that I created this solution. And it's been working fine and consists of these different pipelines. It's very, very simple. I can just show it to you. I have it in here. So basically consists of one lakehouse and then some pipelines to get the data out. And one of the pipelines is, for instance, getting the activity events out, and that pipeline is just for each day, it will call some APIs. And then with an API call in here, which is calling this specific API with the connections, I will get then the activities that have happened. So all the audit data, get that out in here and then store it in the lakehouse. So this is just an example, and I will now put these also on as templates, put them on my blog at the same link that I had before, and maybe in some cases it is useful for you, but you will basically, or you will get in the FUAM, you will get these pipelines and much more, because it is the same APIs, so this is much more simple. But just so you can get an idea of what it is actually happening, then this could be a solution for that. So next up, job monitoring, because that was what we actually had with this monitoring hub. There was something that we cannot do because we don't have alerting in here. It's really, really great as a reactive tool to go in, but we are really missing this feature where I can set an alert on a specific item. And Microsoft have actually given us that solution, but not sort of built in. What we have got is something called job events as part of the real-time hub. That is a pretty new feature that came around a couple of weeks ago after being in some preview. But here you can set up a stream, real-time stream, where you, and that is a really drawback of this, you need to do it by item. So I say this notebook I wanted to set a job event on, or this pipeline. I cannot do it on a full workspace. But if you have some crucial pipelines that you know should run every day, and you wanted to have the alerting on those if they're failing, then you can use this option. And how will you set it up? It's actually pretty simple, and it is inside the real-time hub. So in here, you can subscribe to the real-time hub is your central place for all streaming data, where you can get streaming data in, and there are some built-in features, and this is the last two. So Fabric events and Asia events. And Fabric events, that is what we want to look into, and there we actually have 3 different options in here. So I can set these job events, which is job runs that I can subscribe to find out and what is happening. But I could also workspace item events. So who is deleting an item, who is creating an item, and that is on a workspace level. You set that up. But and then one leg events. And what you also can use these for is use them for triggers. So if something happened here, you can trigger something else, because that could also be something you set up as part of one of those events in here. So to job events, I already created one, so I will just go here and then show you. I created one very simple job event in here. So I basically just set this one and then say create event stream. And in here, as is the job event, I can choose between these 4 job types. So if a job is created, status of the job is changed, or if it succeeded or failed. You can also just put out and say, okay, only failed jobs, but you can also have them all of them. And then you will say, okay, by item. Unfortunately, I hope now they have said by item that they will extend this list, so it will be by workspace, because that will be very, very nice. But now I need to choose a specific workspace and then a specific item in that workspace that I wanted to monitor on this. And if you do that, and let me just say, take one here, and say in here I have created one controller pipeline. I believe I will just say this notebook, and next for that, and connect. And this is then creating a event stream for me, so as the source. And what I will then go ahead in this event stream is then saying what should happen to this event. Will I fire a data activator event that will get some alerting? Will I put this event down in a KQL database, in a lakehouse, or anything else? Or do I want to sort it out, both put it down in a storage layer and also set an event on those? And while this is happening, I created this one. It's very, very simple. So in here, you can see I put it up, and down here you can see that events coming in. And for those events, I can see here that I have a data, and I absolutely need to go ahead and then fill it out here, because in here I will then get the details of the different jobs runs, and here I can see the item ID, and so on and so forth, and also the status, if it completed or succeeded or failed. And in my case, I set the output to a lakehouse, but if I go to edit mode here, I could also here, let me put in, and then say, okay, will I aggregate, do stuff like this? So it is kind of custom. You need to do that. I'm definitely working on a solution so I can, because it is basically behind the scene. These event streams just code. So what I like to do is to automate this. So when I set up a new data platform solution, I can just have an automated process that is creating these events, so that I have them because it is a lot of clicking is to set that up on each and every of your jobs. And that concludes that. The last topic is capacity monitoring. Build your own solutions, and with your capacity measures app, you are also getting the semantic model. So on top of that semantic model, you can create your own reports, and you can create notebooks. You can use Power Automate. You can use PowerShell, because you can query that. This is an example. So you will query it with some DAX and then get that data out. And if you have something, then you can store it for more days, for instance, querying it out. And this is also what FUAM has a module on inside, that it will actually use this method to get data out of the capacity metric app. But you could also just go ahead and then make a report, Power BI report on top of the semantic model to make your own Power BI reports. That's also possible. And there are different options for that to get these data out, so you can get more of this. I know Microsoft is talking about this on sessions. For instance, Benny also have this in his session, but I still believe it's also not supported by Microsoft for you to do this, because Microsoft can change the semantic model behind it, and then it will break your solutions. The semantic model behind has not changed the last 2 years, and it's really, really messy when you go in there. So it's really hard to get, and it's not documented. So using and doing this, and there are a lot of different fact tables that is aggregated on different levels, so you really need to pay attention to figure out what are the correct data and what level you want to do. But if you do that, then you can make a custom solution and getting exactly the data, and also sort of set up, if you have it running periodically, you can set up and find out and get some alerting on top of this to find out if it is spiking and so on. And there's actually somebody, a guy from France that has actually done that and have a software as a service solution that you can buy with data pulse that they have created on top of these unsupported feature. But yeah, but if you do that, you can create your own nice report like they have done. So not depending on what reporting comes as part of the competitiveness app. And with that, we are on time. If there's any questions, I also have actually, I need to see that I have some stickers. If you want to have Fabric stickers, please come up here and have those. And for those of you that actually ask a question, I have something here, and I can't throw it that long. No, he went out, but yeah. And it's kind of spooky because it's pills with Fabric, so yeah, take them. So yeah, thank you for attending this session.
Thank you very much. Also from our side, we have a small gift for you for this interesting session.
Thank you very much. Wow, nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.